Okay, whenever I come in contact with an interesting person in the film industry, I get excited. I talk to Rocco about it. Rocco gets excited. He always does a great job with the interviews, and we have a great guest, fascinating guest, Timothy Charles. And Rocco, it's all yours, my friend. Timothy Charles.
Thank you very much, Howie, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for your time. And first and foremost, talk about what is it that made you decide that show business was what you wanted to do with your life?
Okay, sure. First and foremost, I want to say, actually, my name is Tim Realbuto. Timothy Charles is actually just my Facebook name,
right.
so
Okay.
For privacy's sake. But Tim Realbuto, if you're looking for, the actor Tim Realbuto, that would be me. What made me get involved? When I was a little boy, my mom used to take me to classical music concerts, and I loved them so very much. And they were outdoors. And one night it was rained out, and so she said, "Do you want to go see a play that's playing inside?" And I was 4 years old, and my first play was on Golden Pond, which is completely inappropriate. But I was completely hooked, and then I saw my first Broadway play, which is a musical, which was Into the Woods, and I fell in love with Bernadette Peters, and that was it for me. That was it. I couldn't see myself doing anything else. So when I was 5 years old, I did my first musical, and that was The Music Man. I played Winthrop Peru a million years ago. And the second show I ever did was The Music Man as Winthrop Peru at another theater company. So yeah, I grew up in the musical theater, and I can't imagine doing anything else.
You had touched with me before the show that you started doing small roles in film, particularly with a person who's like a giant in film, Woody Allen. Talk about what it was like to have your earliest experiences in film be with a director of his stature and his reputation. You see so many actors flock to working with him.
I was 12 years old, and I was terrified. It was my first part ever in a film. And Woody is very intense on the set. You're not allowed to look at him, but it was very professional, and he was such a perfectionist. I remember I was wearing a jacket with just these regular buttons on it, and he came running over to me, and he said to the costume designer that all my buttons on my jacket had to be covered in velvet. And he wouldn't continue shooting the scene unless my buttons were covered in velvet. It made no sense to me. But they got my jacket, they covered it in velvet, and he continued the scene. And it was his level of professionalism that made me such a perfectionist. I don't know. But he was a little wacky to work with, but, very interesting, to say the least, first experience on a film set.
You had other actors that you named in terms of other film projects early on that you worked with. You worked with Kevin Kline, you worked with Jesse Eisenberg, you worked with Paul Dano, Emile Hirsch. Talk about that film and just a little briefly on what the experience was like working with these actors of this stature.
It was amazing. The movie was called The Emperor's Club. I was 16 years old. I played the role of Jackson. And it was Paul, Jesse, and Emile's second movie, and my second movie really as well. But it was amazing just to get on that set and see Kevin Kline, and we were his students in the film, and he was our teacher, and he treated each and every one of us like a student. You know what I mean? So I feel like being on that set for weeks, I got a master class in film acting that I couldn't get in 4 years at college. So working with Kevin was really, I feel like I worked with the best, and it was a life-changing experience.
Fantastic. It says, in terms of where you've progressed in your career, you've gone, you went to college and you studied acting, and you also did professional stage work on the off-Broadway circuit. Talk about that whole aspect of doing work on Broadway. You mentioned the play Ghostlight. Talk about how that all took shape and...
Sure. Well, Ghostlight I wasn't in. Ghostlight I co-wrote with my writing partner and best friend, Matthew Martin ghostwrites a musical about the life of Ziegfeld Follies' girl, Olive Thomas, and her untimely death. Takes place from 1915 to 1920. And it was we felt very good about it, and it played off Broadway. We had a wonderful cast, and we're still working on it, but writing was so much different than acting. And a lot of jobs for acting jobs weren't coming my way after college, so I continued to write, and then I started doing concert work. In fact, I did a Demi Lovato concert, as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of hers, and I hope she gets better. I did like a concert, a cover of all her songs. I felt like I needed to perform, so writing was like a hobby that became sort of a profession. I wrote another play with my best friend called The Weak Ones that I was also in, and then I wrote a play called Yes, and I wrote the lead character specifically for me. Because a lot of times in this business you don't get handed roles that are perfect for you, and you have to go out and create the art yourself. So I didn't know if the play was going to be any good. I wrote it, I entered it into a festival, and then it wound up running for 2 years, and we took it across the country, and so that was a wonderful experience. Writing became a profession.
You mentioned that you're working on turning Yes into a feature film. Talk about the difference between for you in terms of doing a stage work and doing something for the screen. Because I know that doing that are two different things, especially with all the different hats that you've had to wear.
Yeah, well, we have turned Yes into a feature film. We have one more day of shooting, and then we're done. We filmed it here in New York. We went to LA to film it, and it was an amazing experience. It was very hard. I'm sorry, what exactly was your question? It was...
No, in terms of you're a writer, you're a producer, you've done all this different type of work, acting. What do you feel like, how is it to juggle all those roles, and what do you feel like is your greatest strength? Where's your comfort zone and sort of, and all that?
Yeah, okay, that's a loaded question. It's so hard to juggle everything because I'm also a producer on the film. I'm also the lead actor. I also wrote the screenplay. The play version of Yes had 2 people. The screenplay had to be expanded for film, so that it's not just 2 people talking in a room. We have many different locations and many different characters, but it's still mainly just the 2 lead guys. It has been so hard to juggle, but what I try to focus on the most when I'm on set is my acting. That's what I'm the most comfortable with, and that's if I go to set knowing my lines, knowing who I'm working with, knowing my character, I find that is the easiest for me, and I'm there as a writer as well in case some dialogue needs to be changed. But no, I definitely focus on the acting. To get prepared for the film, I went to months and months of acting training because I was so used to doing stage acting. They had to bring me down so that I can play just for the camera. And the film, Yes, has been an amazing learning experience and hopefully life-changing experience. It's myself and Nolan Gould is my co-star from Modern Family, Oscar Nunez from The Office, Jenna Lee Green from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Siobhan Fallon from Forrest Gump and Men in Black and a million other things, and just Natalie Roy from The Following, Mavis Simpson Ernst from Broad City. I can go on and on and on, but the cast is fantastic, and I am so proud. Our director Rob Margulies is amazing, and I'm so proud of this film, and I can't wait for everyone to see it.
In regards to that, where are you in terms of a release and all that?
Well, we're just finishing it up now. We have one more scene to shoot, and then we're gonna go to the festival circuit, hopefully Sundance and Tribeca, and then we're hoping for a release in early to mid 2019.
Where do you see yourself going with your career in the next couple of years?
That's what's so wonderful about this business. You never know where it's going to go. I was taking a break from singing and musical theater to try to focus more on film. But all of a sudden, the other day, I get sent this wonderful, wonderful script. It's a musical. It's a comedy. It's opening at the Theater for a New City in Manhattan. And I love the script so much, so I went in for the audition, and I found out this is going to be a surprise to anyone watching because I didn't tell anybody yet. But I found out 2 days ago that I did get the role, so I'm going to this whole next month. The musical's called The Wrong Box. It's hilarious. It's a hilarious British farce. We open in September. So all next month I'll be juggling rehearsals and for the play, for the musical, and also finishing the film. And that's really what I want to do for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? I want to do good work that I care about, that I'm proud of, whether it be a film, another film, whether it be a musical, whether it be a play, whether I just keep on writing and I don't perform. Whatever I think is the right thing to do at that moment and something that I'm proud of. I have to be passionate about the project.
Well, definitely, we look forward to your continued success, and thank you for your time very much. It's been a pleasure with Tim Realbuto, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.